There's a device that I've been using called a Whoop.
Hello, and welcome back to IGOW3. Field correspondent Danny here, on location at the Immelman Church to introduce weekly challenge number 9, the Emax Flat Spins. This week's challenge can really be done anywhere. All you need to do is set a cube obstacle on the ground, have a gap for a knife edge, and a point of interest for a rewind. Now let's head back to IGOW Studios so Dan and Liz can break down this week's challenge.
Thanks, field reporter Danny. This week's challenge combines 3 basic tricks into one difficult combo. Each element on its own is not very bad, but performing all 4 parts together will be the challenge. Similarly, Emax is excellent at combining their different parts together to make excellent bind and flies.
Emax has been known for making quality parts and quadcopters since before I got into the hobby. When I first got into whoop racing, the local club had a class of 2S micros and many people flew the original Emax Baby Hawk. It was a major inspiration for Mr. Shutterbug's original Power Whoop build, which was the start of the whoop and micro revolution we have seen over the last few years. Emax has regularly put out excellent bind and fly whoops and micros that often challenge the industry standards and progress the technology of the hobby.
I know the first pusher whoop that I've ever saw in real life was the Emax Tiny Hawk, and it has proven to be one of the most recommended and reliable bind and flies over the last few years. More recently, Emax has released the Nano Hawk, which rides the line between whoop and micro, and it's one of this year's grand prizes.
Emax's most recent offering is the Nano Hawk X, which is a 3-inch toothpick type bind and fly. I have a similar build and I think it's a ton of fun. Emax makes quadcopters for all skill levels of drone pilots. Check out their website where you can see how to get into FPV if you're a beginner and start with a ready to fly kit that comes with the goggles and a basic transmitter, all the way up to their 5-inch Hawk Pro racing drone. Check all this out at Emax-usa.com and use the code IGOW3 for 10% off your order.
As we have mentioned, this week's challenge is made up of 4 elements. The main focus is going to be the flat spins, also known as yaw spins, which are a 360-degree rotation along the yaw axis. The trick is spinning while flying with forward momentum and keeping the spin flat or level to the ground.
The other elements of the combo are a knife edge through a gap and a rewind. To perform a knife edge through a gap, you simply need to pass through a gap while rolled 90 degrees to the left or to the right. The gap does not have to be small enough that your whoop only fits through it sideways. It can be any size. To perform a rewind, you need to fly up to a point of interest and then fall back down in a similar path to create a rewind type effect. We will not be as picky when judging these 2 elements because the focus of the challenge is on the flat spins.
Okay, now let's jump into the actual requirements for weekly challenge number 9, the Emax Flat Spins. Requirement number 0 is that your video can be no more than 60 seconds and you must follow all of the IGOW3 posting rules.
Requirement number 1 is that you must set a cube gate on the ground or 2 IGOW approved gates 30 inches apart from one another. You will also need a gap for your knife edge and a point of interest for your rewind in the area. There are no size requirements for your knife edge gap or your point of interest for the rewind.
Requirement number 2 is that you must perform the following 4 tricks, all in one clip with no bumps or ground taps. Number 1 is a 360-degree clockwise flat spin through a cube. Number 2 and number 3 are a knife edge and the rewind can be done in either order. And then number 4 is going to be a 360-degree counterclockwise spin through a cube.
Requirement number 3 is that on both of your 360-degree flat spins, you must start spinning before you enter the cube, and you must complete your 360-degree rotation after exiting the cube. But you cannot spin more than 180 degrees before entering the cube or after exiting the cube. This will be the focus of the judging, so make sure your flat spins satisfy this requirement. I'll have some examples at the end of the video showing passing and failing spins.
This week we have a $10 bonus challenge from We Bleed FPV for the narrowest knife edge gap in a combo. That means that your knife edge gap must be part of your line in order for it to count. Please provide the distance of your gap in your video.
This week's combo may take you a few more attempts to complete than previous weeks, so if you're getting frustrated, I suggest taking a pack off just to rip around and do whatever you want to clear your mind of the challenge for a few minutes. I find that this helps me focus on having fun and can reset my brain after trying and failing the same thing over and over again. Good luck and happy whooping!